So tonight is going to be about suppliers and where you get stuff from, and because basically triggered by the fact that Tool Post is closed, and we all know about Amazon and the internet, but there's a lot of places that we can get stuff from, and want to hear your experiences about where's the best place to get stuff from. Where will you get, say, the brass powder and the what do you call it, the glues? What's the word for that stuff?
Oakenden, brass powder.
Yeah.
Oakenden. Brass powder. I got mine from Tool Post.
Yeah, well, that's gone.
I did actually.
Yeah. You can get it from Oakenden.
Yeah, I've heard that, but
yeah. And they also do the low viscosity super glue.
Yeah, the thin super glue. Hello, hi Gennady. Hi.
Gennady.
Okay.
Hi.
Whereabouts is it then? Right.
So this discussion tonight really should be about where do we get stuff from? Why do we need, say, cryo steel instead of HSS? Why do we need CBN wheels instead of abrasive carborundum wheels? Any tools that you would recommend that we haven't got? In fact, I've got a brilliant tool which I wouldn't be without. I'm going to show it to you, except it's in the other room. So if you forgive me, I'll get it. Want me a sec?
Oh, Norman Wisdom's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Someone changed.
It's somewhat in the dark, though. You know, you can't. I can't see whether it's Norman or not. There isn't enough light on him.
Yeah.
I'm in that gloomy little room.
Can I ask whereabouts is Ockenden Timber? I've heard about them, but I've never.
It's on the internet.
They're in Chesterfield.
They're online.
It's a mail order job, is it?
Mail order, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you can see this, it's a rubber strap that fits into a slot.
You kinky bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't do half the things I do without this. It's fantastic for tightening up items on a screw chuck. Unless you've got really strong wrists, there's nothing beats this. So you put this round, whatever it is. There's a glass of scotch. Tighten it up and give it a tighten. There's nothing it won't tighten up to the right up. You can't use your wrist to tighten things on a screw chuck as tight as you want them.
Yeah.
Without, I could not do this. I could not do a lot of stuff without that. And that's a cheap tool. I don't know what it costs. I think I got it from Scotland. Well worth having. Costs about 15 quid. Can't do without it. So that's.
It's an oil filter tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's brilliant for tightening up circular things.
Yeah.
You can get little ones for household jars and tins. So that's the sort of thing. If anybody has any interesting items that they want to talk about. Hello, Julian, you made it. Good man. So that's.
I made it. I'm sorry I missed your phone call.
You didn't. I didn't phone you. We had our phone call, but I never called again.
Oh, I got a missed call from you at 26 minutes past 7.
Then it obviously was what they call a pocket call. I didn't call you. But good to see you. So any experiences that you might have had with tools, with suppliers? For instance, I know that because Tool Post has gone down, I'm talking about local suppliers. Where can you drive to get stuff? And there's a place in Bedford called the Bedford Tool Company. Bedford Tool. They have a big wood turning section, in case you didn't know. And they have a big wood blank section. I may have even got this at the Bedford Tool, I've forgotten now. But they're just before you get into Bedford, and it's a good alternative It's not as good as tool posts, but they do have a lot of stuff. So that's worth knowing.
Something I could mention, David, I've actually been to Turner's Retreat up in Doncaster. Interesting shop. But the chap offers discounts to members of clubs as long as the club secretary registers with him.
What's the name of the firm?
Turner's Retreat.
Oh, Turner's Retreat, yeah. There's a massive list of places in, I don't know if you got Revolutions today, it came yesterday or today. First page, just about all the wood turning companies, Stars and Baits, Tool Post, gone, Turner's Retreat. Lots of companies I've never heard of. They're all here with emails and web addresses and stuff. Quite useful.
They're in Revolutions.
That's in Revolutions, yeah. Which came, I think, this morning or yesterday. Full of interest.
Yeah, what I picked up from that, David, was a specialist supplier of abrasives for wood turners. Just a small firm.
Who was that?
It's it. That was me talking. I'm just trying to remember what the firm was called.
I wonder if anybody knows, I see them on YouTube all the time, Velcro sanding discs.
Oh, yeah.
Wait for it, the dimpled ones, the ones with the looped edges all the way around it.
The flower-shaped ones.
Yeah, yeah. So in other words, you're not going to get a hard edge.
Oh, so what's the edge? What do you mean a dimpled edge?
The flower edge.
Yeah, I did actually send a picture of one out on our WhatsApp. I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and nobody said anything. I think it's an American thing, but I'm not sure.
So what's the advantage of it?
When you're sanding something, you're not going to get a hard edge. It's going to soften the edge.
Oh, I see. So the disc is bigger than the...
Yeah, the disc is a greater diameter.
Yeah.
Say a 2-inch disc actually would probably come up, 2 3/4 or 3 inch.
Yeah.
But the outside edge of it has a sort of dimpled effect. It's just going to soften it. It seems like a really good idea to me. I see them on YouTube all the time.
The easiest way I've found of doing it is just buy a long sheet of rhino grip and cut my own. And I always cut them slightly oversized and with slightly uneven edges to provide a soft edge.
You can cut slots in the edges, so you can bend the
We
edges.
can cut it to different shapes.
Yeah. What did you call the stuff?
Rhino grip.
Rhino grip.
Rhino grip. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, that's got a Velcro backing.
Yeah.
Velcro.
Sandpapersupplies.co.uk.
I'm going to get a pen.
Say it again, George.
Sandpapersupplies, or one word, .co.uk. They're advertised in this month's Revolutions.
Oh. Sandpaper supplies. Okay, useful to know.
And one other thing, I had to get a piece for my old record power lathe, and Record didn't have it, so they referred me to a company called Power Tool Spares, and they probably got spares for all sorts of different power tools, including lathes, so that's worthwhile remembering.
Oh, thanks, Adam.
That's useful.
Yeah.
Would it be useful
Power
just
Tool
to
Supplies,
provide
was
the
that?
directory?
Yeah. Power Tool Spares, they called.
Power Tool Spare.
Power Tool Spares, all one word, .com. And they're in Boston, in Lancashire.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not right either. So what about wood supplies? I mean, where would you get your blanks, particularly the exotics?
Post down in Tunbridge Wells.
Called what? Timberline, is it?
Timberline, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one Jeff uses a lot, Timberline, yeah.
and they do specialise in legitimately sourced exotics.
Hmm.
I don't know who else has ever been to Yandles, but they have a warehouse full of wood.
I get Yandel's emails like every day. If you subscribe, if you get on their email list, they just don't leave you alone.
Oh, no, I'm not on the email list.
Well, I got on it. Don't know why, but I did. But every day I get stuff from Yandel's. Never bought anything from them.
Have you actually been there?
No, it's up north, isn't it?
No, it's way, way, way down south, but I frequent that there.
Where is it?
I go to somewhere very close to there, so when I'm down there doing my stuff, I always pop in, just for the hell of it.
Is it a big store?
Down in Cornwall.
No, it's not as far as Cornwall.
It's not?
No, hold on, I can tell you.
Is it a massive shop or a warehouse? What is it?
Yeah, it's like a warehouse. Well, it's a big old shop. It's a warehouse. And
It's a Somerset.
yeah, Somerset, Hurst.
Yeah.
Hurst in Somerset.
Uh-huh.
They got an absolutely beautiful blank section. There's just miles of it, and then next door to that, there's loads and loads of wood in the warehouse, like tabletops. If you want to do a river table or something or other, that's the place to go. I guarantee it. They'll just have blanks and blanks and blanks.
Do they have turning?
Oh, well, pretty damned expensive, you understand, as well. I mean, it's not cheap, any of it. But they got some absolutely beautiful timber down there.
Well, they're always advertising machines and power tools and all sorts.
Yeah.
No, they're pretty active. Too active. Put me off.
I bought one or two things there.
So,
If you're looking for timber, there is a place in St Albans, which I'm just looking up, which is, they specialise in recycled timber. Now, a lot of it is ex-building stuff.
who's talking?
Julian.
Oh, Julian. Hi.
But there is my phone is not doing what it's supposed to do. I will hunt the name out, and once I find it, I will post it up for you. But it's a good place for some unusual woods. If you're looking for a table, sort of a table blank or something like that. Turning stuff, not so hot.
No. Well, I went there and there was nothing of any interest to me.
What was it again, Judy? What's it called?
I'm trying to look it up.
Sorry.
Is it the St Albans Wood Recycling?
Something like that.
Yeah. They got recycled sheets and second-hand stuff.
Yeah.
It's an interesting place.
Yeah.
St Albans. Oh. So what's the nearest place you can get blanks from where we are?
Off a cherry.
Or you?
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. There's still quite a lot of stuff in the warehouse, in the storeroom, actually, from Dave Vaughan's stock. We were there on Monday assembling the gantry, which incidentally is brilliant. And there's a whole box full of blanks and tools and chisels and gouges still left over from Dave Vaughan's estate, we might call. So if anybody wants anything, well, we'll bring it out on the 16th, and we'll still get a few bob out of it for Shirley.
Or we could do with the space in the storeroom.
Yeah, well, it will give us an extra box if we can get rid of it. And there's some chucks there.
Yeah, there's 2 chucks of mine.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I take it you'll come on the 16th. You can take them.
Definitely. Yeah, they've already been claimed.
Yeah, good.
Tell me, a friend of mine would like a spalted oak salad bowl.
Spalted? We can't never guarantee spalted.
Yeah, I know.
Spalted oak.
When I went to Yandles last time, I said, "Have you got any spalted stuff?" And he goes, "Oh, dig for it, mate." And there's a warehouse full of it. And you go, "Yeah, right."
You don't know until you get into it.
Some of it's labeled. I do have a chunk of stuff that's, I think it's sycamore or something or other, that, you know, a little blank that says spalted on it.
Well, I picked up a log which I hadn't used for a long time. When I cut into it, it was spalted, but I had no idea until I'd taken the bark off and I was into it.
All right.
Yeah. So how do you spalt? Do you stick it in a muddy pond or something? I mean, can you spalt?
Just leave it in the weather and leave it long enough and it spalts. You leave it too long and you can't do a bloody thing with it.
No, it goes soggy. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've got a bit of that as well. Ignardi, where do you get your supplies from? Do you have a favourite supplier who you would prefer to go to?
Well, I use green wood, so it's locally harvested.
Greenwood, where are they? Who are they? oh, Greenwood. Sorry, I thought it was a company.
Off the tree.
I'm not interested in dry wood.
Really?
No.
Don't you ever turn commercially dried, kiln dried stuff?
Well, I do have blanks, but I don't like turning dry wood, to be honest.
It's a good company. They've got branches everywhere.
Beef off, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is not my problem to look for blanks. Well, I do have blanks I bought a while back, so I think I need to process them.
But what about tools? I mean, I guess you use the internet a lot, but now that Tool Post has gone, do you have anywhere you would prefer to go to?
I use Axminster quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think I have enough tools for now.
Yeah. Hey, how can that be?
No, well, I like crown tools.
Say Yandles?
Crown.
Oh, crown.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just normal British HSS tools, yeah, would do. It's fine.
So, Terry, why would you be buying Cryotook? I remember I bought you a Cryo Gouge and you insisted it was Cryo. But what's the big deal about Cryo?
I don't remember that, but what they say is that it's an enhanced hardening process. I expect Brian knows about that.
Yeah, it comes from cryogenics.
Yeah.
What they do at a point in the tempering, they freeze it down and it locks the structure where it is at that point in the tempering process, and it stabilizes it. You can't get it back out again, so it's a much more stable tool.
Oh.
I can't tell you the total detail without looking it up because I've forgotten all that stuff since I left work. The metallurgists used to do this deep freeze on a lot of our products. We used to make plungers that are fitted into a sleeve with 0.5 micron clearance. And if you didn't do this stabilizing treatment, you got seizures on the operation of the plunger. So it's a well-known process and it stabilized the material. I don't know what the benefit is on a turning tool.
But I remember clearly that I went to Axminster and I said to you, Terry, is there anything I can get for you? And you said, yeah, I want a Cryo Gouge, big one, which I bought you.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you, David.
That's a pleasure. But I wonder why you particularly wanted a Cryo Gouge.
I don't think I particularly wanted a cryo gouge. I wanted a gouge. And I've got a cryo gouge and it works nicely, but like Brian, I don't really know if it's got a great advantage, and I didn't realise that it was a permanent effect. I thought it was just like a deeper hardening. Because we're talking about liquid nitrogen temperatures. You can't do it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
I think it holds its edge a lot longer.
Oh, they say.
Yeah, that's what they say.
But they say that about all these tools, don't they?
What's a cat? No, your cat.
Sorry.
Yeah. And
I mean, when you try and resharpen a cryo tool, if you sharpen it yourself, don't you lose the effect of the cryo?
No, never done it.
No.
Sorry, Jeremy, what was the question?
When you sharpen a cryo, when you resharpen yourself, when you sharpen a cryo tool, do you lose the cryo effects?
No.
I understand that you don't.
No, you don't, because you don't take it up to a temperature where it will change.
even if it goes red hot while you're sharpening it.
Well,
It needs to go a lot hotter than that.
It is a form of high-speed steel.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So if you went to, say, Axminster, would you spend an extra 20 quid or whatever to buy a cryo tool if they had HSS, or would you not bother?
I wouldn't, because I don't use it enough, and I'm happy to sharpen when I need to. If I were in production work, it might make a difference, the time spent sharpening, but
yeah,
I'm happy with HSS.
And talking about sharpening, would you spend the money on a CBN wheel when you can get decent carborundum wheels?
I would, and I did.
And are you happy about that? You pleased with it?
Very happy with it.
Yeah.
Don't forget the advantage of CBN is when you're grinding the tool, the heat that's generated goes into the chips that are thrown away. It doesn't go into the tool, and it doesn't go into the wheel. So you don't overheat the tool.
So you don't glue your tools.
And does it give you a sharper, cleaner edge?
It's as good as anything.
Yeah.
I'm not resistant to spending 100 quid on a wheel when I can get one.
But you don't have to dress it either, because CBN doesn't break down.
Yeah.
It's second hardness to diamond.
So it's always the same size, so your jigs don't change.
Mm.
It never gets clogged up.
You don't have to replace it.
Yeah. Well, you do eventually. I had one, and they say they last forever, but they don't. I can tell you that.
I think you get harder wear than we do.
I have to admit, when I did a course with Phil Irons, he had a diamond wheel, and I was so impressed that I went out and bought one.
You mean a CBN? Is that what we're talking about?
No,
CBN?
diamond. Not my. I've actually got a diamond extra fine wheel.
On a dry grinder?
Overnight, my turning just went up 3 notches.
Wow.
Just instantly. Because I then had the tool that's, my tools come out absolutely. You can shave.
So what is a diamond wheel compared to, as opposed to a CBN?
Well, I hate to say this, I've never used a CBN. Perhaps Brian could elaborate.
Is it compressed?
But the difference, I've told you the difference between CBN and the other wheels. The other thing you've got to remember with CBN, do not cool it with water.
Oh.
Because it makes the grit shatter.
Oh. Because I've got my diamond wheel running in water.
Yeah.
And it's extraordinary.
You mean it picks in a water bath, so it picks up water
on the Tormek. Yeah, I've got a diamond wheel running on a Tormek.
Very slowly.
In the water, but yeah, I mean it does like 80 RPM or something. It's like really slow. You can count it.
Really?
And it changed my whole outlook on turning.
Really?
Just overnight, my turning became so much easier.
But then you need to buy a Tormek sharpener.
I did, yeah.
Tormek grinder, in other words.
Yeah.
Is that the one with a straight bit?
Straight bit.
Well, it's not a disc. It's a
continuous belt, is it?
Oh no! The Tormek. I've got the top of the range Tormek. To be honest, I spent loads of money on it.
How much is loads?
Oh well, shit! By the time you got the machine the machine was like 600 or 700.
Oh,
the jigs are I know. No, it's stupid money. I'm saying stupid money.
So you finished up spending nearly £1,000 on a sharpening tool.
Well, I effectively did, yeah.
You were looking for it.
You didn't. You spent it on turning.
Well, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, whoever that was. I recognize the voice.
Well, I'm impressed, Jim. That is a lot of money to spend on a sharpening tool.
Yeah, yeah.
But when you say your turning has gone up 3 notches, could you not have done what you did before you bought the tool on a regular grinding wheel?
It just didn't come out the same. It got sharpening the tools on a normal stone, as opposed to on a diamond wheel. It's the difference between night and day.
Oh, so I've never heard that before.
They do come out like razor blades.
I thought CBM was the bee's knees, but what do you think?
Size of the wheel.
Sorry, David.
I was asking Gnardi, who's a brilliant turner, does he need a diamond wheel? Do you
use wheels.
You've got CBN, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, I moved away from Tormek.
Why?
Okay.
Why? Well, it takes time.
Yeah.
Especially if you need to reshape your tool. Well, it's that. So you have to use either normal grinder or something else. And to be honest, well, there's not much difference. I tried both, and I'm fine. I'm fine with CBN.
So what's your favourite wheel? Is it CBN? Would you?
Well, that's what I have, and I paid a lot of money, so I'm not going to.
No, I'm just interested to know what's the best way to sharpen tools.
Well, for me now, it's CBN.
CBN, yeah.
That's what I've got,
You've got one, Terry, haven't you, as well, CBN?
Well, I no longer use the CBN wheel because it's worn out.
Oh.
It still sharpens, it's just got slower and slower. And I have a Tormek with the standard wheel, and it makes the tools beautifully sharp. Whether it's as sharp as the diamond, I don't know. But like Gennady says, it's slow. And so I've gone back to using a high-speed dry grinder with solid wheels, not the CBN ones.
What wheels did you say, Bob?
Solid, ordinary
solid wheels.
Wheels, yeah. Not the CBN ones.
Back to square one.
Yeah, I mean they're decent quality wheels, but there are turners who use very good turners out there who just use the basic standard grit wheels and do brilliant work.
Sounds like there's a presentation on grinding required.
Well, I mean, that's the point of this discussion, just to have a chat and mull things over.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the Tormek stuff. I've never even heard of a diamond wheel, but interesting.
Well, the wheel alone is more than most of us spend on a grinder and a CBN wheel. You look at the price of those diamond wheels.
Jim spent more on his grinder than on his lathe.
Not far off it.
Is it?
I think my diamond wheel was 180 quid or something.
Yeah. Jim, is it just a thin layer of diamond, like on the CBN?
Very, very thin.
And is it waterproof? Can you leave it in the water bath?
I don't. I use the bottle of blue stuff. I've mixed up some of that anti-rust stuff,
right.
And I do drop the water away from the wheel. I do not leave. I don't leave the wheel sitting in the water, having just spent the best part of 200 quid on it.
Yeah. And does it cut quicker than the standard wheel?
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just zip it over it like 3 times maybe.
Yeah. But you'd have to have the jig set exactly right, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I do.
Yeah.
What jig do you use? One way or something?
I use the one that came with Tormek. wood turner's jig set thing.
Yeah, the same as they use on the record.
Is that? Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah.
And the club's got one.
Yeah. And I do have a habit of use a magic marker on the tool every time along the bevel.
Oh.
Just make sure it's in the right spot every time, and it always is.
Mm.
What do you mean a magic marker? You mean a felt tip?
Yeah, a felt tip. And whenever somebody shows it or demonstrates it, they always use a black felt tip.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I use a red felt tip. You can see it. Black disappears. Black disappears in the shadows. So I use a red magic marker thing. And it's brilliant.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
I think you should bring it with you to the club. Not the
as a marker.
Magic marker.
Magic marker. You want to see my magic? It's in the kitchen.
What's she called?
Oh God.
Yeah.
So you guys must run away.
Somebody mentioned we're talking about super glues and thin super glues and nozzles, and somebody said Ockenden, which is the place. But I find them really hard to get hold of. They don't have a phone number. They don't seem to respond to emails. I've sort of given up on them.
Where does Tom get his?
Well, he gets them from Ockenden.
He goes to Ockenden. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
They're not
Tom's
easy
not
to...
here, come to think of it, is he?
It's what?
Tom isn't here, is he? I don't think.
No, I thought he would be, but So who else does the inlays? You're George. You're the man, aren't you, for inlays?
Mm-hmm. I do inlays.
Well, the brass inlays. Yeah. Do you go to Ockenden for your stuff?
I've certainly got stuff from Ockenden and from Tool Post and from Turner's Retreat. Turner's Retreat used to do a nice little 3-pack of brass, copper, and aluminium.
Mm.
And they also came with a little dropper nozzle, which made it easy to put it into the groove.
Yeah.
There's some good videos on YouTube from someone who does a lot of that inlay work. If anyone hasn't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Bragg wood turning or something.
Bragg. Mm-hmm. Inlays. Okay, made a note of that.
Yeah. I bought some tiny nozzles for the super glue for inlays and I got them on eBay. Got a pack of 20. I can't remember where it's from.
Right.
Well, the very fine nozzles.
Yeah, the very, very fine ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you get your glue from the right place, they come with nozzles.
Yeah.
I can't remember which of the suppliers it is that gives them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Excuse me.
So, David, what are you up to? Are you busy with your bowls and God knows what?
That must be me.
Yeah.
That must be me. Yeah, still flat out. Work coming in on a daily basis.
Really? Daily? Sure.
Yeah.
You mean orders for stuff?
Yep. I got an order tonight as well, but not for turning, but for little animals. Other stuff that I was doing before I became a turner.
Ooh.
But yeah, I'm still working on a project. Guys building a 50-foot ketch down in Portsmouth.
Ketch? You say ketch?
Ketch, yeah.
Oh,
Twin mast yacht, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And asked me to make plates, bowls, cups, drinking vessels. And I'm at the process of making 10 1-pint coffee cups.
Really?
With hands. So lots of fun.
Out of what? Out of wood?
Yeah.
Why does he just buy them out of porcelain? Why does he need wood cups?
Because he wanted to.
Did they have a glass insert in the cups?
They floated,
No.
he sinks.
Oh, I know why. Because when the boat rocks and all the cups bang together,
That's
they
it.
don't break.
They'll break. Exactly. Yeah. He came to me initially for plates and bowls. Basically, they had to be designed in such a way that they don't rock, they don't spill. So basically, it had to have an edge to it so that it holds all the food on the plate rather than slop over the table. And then they had to be stackable on top of each other so that they're stowable. And the same was with the bowls as well. And then once he'd got those, he'd asked me to make coffee cups. And they had to be 1 pint because they ain't got time on a boat to mess about making coffee all the time. So they had to be big enough to last a while. And it was just fortunate that I had 2 large slices of, I had an ash slice and a sycamore slice. Took them over to Terry's and we mashed up his blade, cutting them up into 5-inch squares. And basically I'm just turning them at the moment into cup sizes.
Are you putting handles on them, David?
Yeah.
Are you putting an insert in them for the liquid or not?
No. I'm using Rustin's plastic coat. So it gets, it's like a resin really, basically, and they get 3 coats of that and it makes them waterproof.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
Rustin's
heat resistant as well.
Rustin's plastic coat?
Yeah. You've got to be careful when you're buying it because there's like 2 types. One for the floor, literally coat your floor with it, and then the other one is a food grade version. I was hunting down on the stuff and bought the wrong product because it was cheap.
So you've done the floor then?
So I'm going to do my floor, yeah.
That's very interesting. So if you were making, say, a salad bowl, would you line that with the Rustin's plastic coat?
No, if it's a salad bowl, it's cold. You could get away with using 4 or 5 coats of Danish or mineral oil, and you'll be fine. But if you're using it with something like, it's going to be fairly warm, you'd want to protect whatever your wood is because it will degrade. As it is, the bowls and the plates that I've done, they're in mineral oil with a mineral oil beeswax treatment, which soaks in a bit like the old days really, where people put beeswax on and rub it in, and that protects the wood. But you have to keep reapplying that once it gets washed. So yeah, that's where I'm at with him.
Sounds like you're the basis of a new business, providing yachting cutlery.
Well, this is it. I spoke to the boatyard, which just happens to be the same boatyard that built one of Henry VIII's boats.
In Portsmouth.
Yeah, which was called the Elephant. The ship was called the Elephant, and the boatyard now is called the Elephant Boatyard. And this was the first boat that's been built in 10 years. So it's been a lease of life down there. And been in touch with them, and they're looking at asking me to make more stuff for other vessels that are being built.
Lovely, well done, David.
Well done, interesting. Yeah.
Brilliant.
You can
and then they've got all the other work.
Have you tried your plates for your hot food? Have you eaten hot food off of it?
Yep. Yeah.
What happened?
The first timber he bought me, which was the timber that was being used on the boat, which was cedar of Lebanon. He bought me a huge stack of this stuff, 13 inches square by 2 inches thick, lots of it. So consequently, my shed was smelling amazing. So I made 14 plates with that.
Wow.
Coated it 6 times with Danish because I thought that would do the job, and ordinarily it would do. But it's fine for cold food, salads, sandwiches, and that sort of thing. But I put a hot food on it, and straight away, the heat of the food drew the oil from the cedar through the Danish. So consequently, you're eating food that tastes of cedar of Lebanon. Not very nice. If it was a curry, it'd be all right. So I had to tell him that couldn't use them for hot food. So consequently, had to make another 10 plates. Thank you very much. That's more work. So I ended up getting some timber from the Isle of Wight because with this lockdown, none of the stores had the size of timber needed. And the only place that I could get it was on the Isle of Wight. And the guy cut me up some sycamore, some spotted beech, and some sweet chestnut, and sent it to me, and I got it within 2 days. So another pile of wood. and
to piss your missus off. Yeah.
No, just got even more sawdust and shavings. So looking at a way of getting rid of all the shavings. So consequently, I'm got a briquette machine, and looking at ways of making firewood bricks.
You got yourself a bandsaw yet?
What's that?
You were looking for a bandsaw not long ago. You got one of them yet?
I ain't got no room for one of them. Not yet.
I don't know how you make all that stuff without a bandsaw. I mean, it's incredible.
He brings it around to me.
He goes around Terry's, and breaks it.
Go around Terry's.
David mentioned that bandsaw blade on my machine. He bent it and it got so well locked into the bit of wood. How we got it out, I don't know. I carried on using it, and then it snapped, and there was actual flames coming out of the bandsaw.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, and it tripped the breaker.
Yeah,
and that's from a health and safety man.
Yeah.
I hope you got a fire extinguisher close.
I mean, if you haven't got a briquette maker, how do you all get rid of your sawdust and shavings and stuff?
Garden waste bin.
Yeah.
I got lots and lots of Sainsbury's bags, and I cram them into there and then just leave them out in the rain. I tried just using the shavings, but with the machine you can't compress it enough for them to stay firm. So I've watched a video where you have to incorporate something where it binds the fibers. One guy uses some PVA, and for me that's spending money, and I don't want to do that. And another guy uses shredded paper. The paper's got some starch in it. So if you're mixing it in a bucket with the shavings have to be really wet. So it all mixes up into a slurry or a slush.
Yeah.
Pour it into your machine and then put a lot of pressure on it. Now, that's the part that I'm looking at upgrading because the levers aren't up to it. And I might just have to do a bit like a car jack system just to compress it.
Well, like a can presser. You get those things for crushing cans. Something like that.
Yeah. And then let the water run out and let it drain out. As soon as the water stops running out, you can take it out of the machine, set it aside, and it'll dry.
And it'll dry into a brick?
Yeah.
Now that's interesting because there's a company in America that takes plastic waste, plastic bottles, softens them, and then molds them into plastic bricks. So that solves two problems in one go. It solves a plastic problem, and it also solves a housing problem because you can build small dwellings with these plastic bricks.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting project. There might be smaller versions of this particular bricking machine that you could use.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, the plastic that I've been using on my mugs, because I've been resin treating them before I turn them, are the 2-litre water bottles, and I just cut them in half in the height, drop my cylinders in, and then heat shrink it with a heat gun, like a hairdryer, and the plastic shrinks to the wood, so it's the right size, and then you just pour in your resin, because you don't want to fill it up with resin because that's just waste. And then the resin cup goes into all the cracks, seals it all up. You let it dry, and you just cut the plastic off. And then I've got a bucket full of empty plastic bottles, and just get the heat gun again, and they start shrinking onto each other, and you can form like a blob, if you like, and it just shrinks it up to nothing. I've seen it on TV just 2 days ago. The guy in Africa was burning all the plastic because he was sick and tired of it on the dump, so he set it all alight. But consequently, he's got arsenic and other chemicals in the atmosphere. And I thought, I ain't doing that, so I just used a gun. It's not going to create any flames, and it just melts all together. But then I've got to get rid of it.
I've not quite understood what you're doing. You're shrinking plastic onto wood?
Yeah.
Why?
To form a mould.
Uh-huh.
And that way it encapsulates the blank, and then you can pour the resin down the side, and it all soaks in.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Because it's thin resin.
Wow, that's pretty enterprising. Yeah. You're a mine of information. You really are. Gosh.
Well, lockdown's got to keep your mind going.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're right, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
David, your compression, when you compress your fibers, what mechanical device are you using? Using like car jacks or something?
No, it's the contraption is just like it's meant for paper, which don't need a lot of pressure, but wood fibers, they need a lot more pressure to come down. And all it is like a scissor, and you do that to it, and it pushes down, but it's not enough force in it. So I'm going to have to put something across the top, and then on the sides, maybe some threads with nuts on, and just wind it down and just keep forcing it down, pressurizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're doing that. Be doing that forever. What you need is a hydraulic press.
Thank you. I need hydraulics.
Yeah.
Amazing.
What I'm thinking, just sitting here, is a log splitter. You know, there's electric log splitters. You pick one of them up on the cheap, and somehow compress it into a pipe shape or something. Interesting. Think about that one.
How does electric log splitter work?
You plug it in, David.
Yeah, but is there an axe that comes down or something?
No. A log splitter is a hydraulic pump and a ram, and it just shoves a wedge through the through the thing. The ones I've used, but there's other kinetic ones, but the hydraulic ones have the massive amount of pressure.
Yeah,
that is an idea though. But to be absolutely honest, you see where I'm sitting. Yeah, so I've got the open fire, which has only got a candle going at the minute. But I get a bucket.
Get much heat out of that.
If you stick your finger in it, it fucking hurts, you know. No, you can. I bucket up my shavings. And when I light the fire, I just chuck a few handfuls on it. It soon disappears. It's more of a case of getting rid of it rather than... But I do like the idea of compressing it into logs.
But David, it now sounds like you've gone from having bags full of shavings to boxes full of briquettes.
Yes. Then, well, my idea is if I've got some dry briquettes, I can put it on my site, and maybe someone will buy it.
Yeah. So does this mean we all bring our shavings round to you, David?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no,
cheers,
no,
David.
Sacks full of it.
Cheers.
Well, thanks, Dave.
Are you in tomorrow to drop them in?
I'm at work tomorrow. Sorry, mate.
We'll just sit by the front door.
I tell you what, though, there are companies that are doing exactly that. They're on Facebook. They make these little things and they put them on the fire. A lot of them have a wax or an oil in them, and they're just like instant flame. You just put a match to it and then they flame up, and they burn forever.
Good for barbecues, huh? Good for barbecue, like.
Barbecues,
Too much flame.
fires. Yeah, they're on Facebook.
Are any gardeners? Because
Sorry?
Are any of you gardeners? Because what I do with all my shavings, I compost them.
Yeah, they're good for that.
And if you layer out amongst the grass chippings and shredded paper that comes out in your shredder and clippings and all that sort of stuff, if you use some garrotta on top of that, you get beautiful compost.
Yeah. Years ago, I had 5 allotments. But now there's only me who lives here.
Colin.
Yeah.
What are you up to? You doing anything? Yeah. Yeah,
I picked up some. Tom put me. I got some of Tom's apple wood from a newly felled tree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing the first bowl from it now. Halfway through.
What diameter?
Well, it's about 9.5 inches. That's about that's the biggest the log could do, and it's about the capacity of my lathe as well.
Has it got nice colours in it?
Pardon?
Has it got nice colours in it?
Yeah, it seems to be actually. It's mainly white, but a few nice bits of different colour brown, from what I can see.
No green.
Most white.
Hmm?
You haven't got any...
I got some of that same stuff. I've made about 30 balls from what I got, but it's almost all white.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's almost white, but there's just little bits of brown in. So I'll see when once I hollow it out, I'll see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Terry, what you going to do with it? Are you going to leave it in your polythene bags to dry out after rough turning it?
Well, that's where they are now. I've made a number of green turn ones, which are nearly dry. I've just got to finish them. And I'm hoping to sell those on the strength of their history. Because they are, when the Hampstead Garden suburb was built, apparently it was obligatory for every garden to have a fruit tree.
Yeah.
According to Tom. And this is one of those very trees. It goes back to 1907. So I'm hoping there'll be a demand for those.
Okay.
Wow.
And I've got a load that have for twice turning. You know, I've turned a bit thicker, and they're sitting in a one of those woven sacks at the moment. And I'm hoping they stay in one piece.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I shall need an awful lot of brass shavings.
Well, very interesting. Right, it's been a good natter. Anybody got anything else they want to say?
Just quiet.
Yeah, just a question. If I turn this thing that I'm doing into a salad bowl, do I need to use this food safe finish, or what else could I use?
Well, David's just been talking about Rustin's plastic coat. Which,
No, I don't need anything as severe as that. Pardon?
Do Danish oil do it?
Yeah, that's what I use.
Oh, Danish oil.
It's cold. It's not hot. It's
Yeah.
You might have to retreat it.
What about something like just liquid paraffin?
That looks good. I'll tell you what, though, it never dries.
Okay.
And therefore, it tends, in my experience, to attract the dust and dirt.
Okay.
If you're using, if it's a salad bowl you're using a lot and you wash it, it will stay clean, but then the oil will come off.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Danish is a bit more permanent.
Okay. Thanks for that.
I put some Danish oil on an oak bowl, and it smells, and it still smells. It's probably 3 or 4 months since I did it, and it still smells of the oil.
Where'd you keep it?
It's sitting on the banister upstairs. I keep my keys in it at night.
There's some green turned oak bowls with Danish, and they don't smell.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're I don't know, a couple of months, I suppose.
You know, on the thing, I've got Hampshire Sheen Danish oil, and it says, oh, gosh, things are spelled at me. And it says use within 6 months of opening. And I've had mine for, I don't know, 18 months, a year, something like that. I'm just wondering if that's anything to do with it, Terry.
I have no idea about that.
Yeah.
These are just 1 or 2 coats of Danish and then buffed with a wheel, and they're fine.
Buffing. Terry, when you buff, what do you put on the wheel?
On the wheel, just the Tripoli usually.
That's Beale's buffing kit.
system. Beale's
Very
system,
good.
and it comes. You get 3 wheels for Tripoli and the white compound and the wax. And usually, I just use the Tripoli, the first one.
Okay.
Well, that's like a cutting compound, isn't it?
It is. It's a mild abrasive.
So it doesn't polish. It's the middle one. It's the diamond one that polishes.
That gives you a higher shine. But I don't necessarily want a high shine on these. If I sometimes I do, and then I would use the white one as well. And the recommended process, if you go through the whole process, is you start with the brown, then the white, and then the wax. And I used to do that, but I think on balance I prefer the finish a bit more sort of satiny, rather than a high shine.
So coming back to this oak tree, which I've got 15 pieces of, does anybody want any of it? It's freshly cut. It's, as I said at the beginning, it's 8 to 10 inches in diameter, and you will get at least a foot in length.
I would say if it's at the club, I shall look at it with great interest on the 16th.
Well, we'll get it.
I wouldn't go all the way to Ghetto. Wouldn't go.
It's only Moore Park, but we'll get it. I think Julian has already offered to go down with me, 2 cars, or maybe 2 cars should bring it all back in one trip. And it's probably worth getting, especially since the guy has specifically saved it for me. He had the tree surgeon cut down the tree and take it all away, but he saved me what he thought was what I wanted. As it happens, it is half of what I wanted and half what I didn't want, but it's worth having. So we'll bring it to the club, and on the 16th, you'll be able to see it. It'll be outside on the grass, and you can just help yourself.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
I really like oak for bowls, and I would.
Yeah. It's too good to waste, really.
Yeah. I'll have a piece of it.
Okay. Well, if you come on the 16th, you can pick one up from.
I will be there on the 16th, David.
I'm sure you will.
Mm-hmm. Is it worth cutting up to make into small boxes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just not big enough for a decent sized bowl, except, it's. I don't know. It's at least a diameter in length. Could be 1.5, maximum 2 lengths in diameter.
Well, I've sold 3 bowls of that size in the past 2 days, so
don't worry, you can have some bits. It's beginning to crack, so I'm not sure what it's like inside.
That's the trouble.
Yeah.
But you say there's longer bits too.
Sorry, what's that?
You said there's longer bits too.
There are, yeah. I've not studied them, but I would think the longest is about 2 foot.
Well, that's reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a matter of luck. They'll all be there at the club on the 16th. You can just take what you like.
Yeah.
Okay. been an interesting evening, kind of developed. And thank you, David, for your really interesting stuff on there.
Yeah. Sorry for taking up so much time.
No, on the contrary, you made it. It was very, very interesting. Good stuff.
Kim, you look like you've had a really painful operation, mate.
Oh, it did hurt.
Yeah.
It's the resurrection.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
What operation?
It's getting that box off of me.
Hey, David Fairman, this stuff you're putting on bowls, this rustins, is that an epoxy? Is there a hardener with it, or is it you just paint it on?
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
What's a two-part job? Is it?
Yeah.
Are you dribbling the catalyst in, or is it 50-50 or something?
No, you paint it on.
You want to send it to the link?
Well, you put a bit of hardener into it.
Yeah, I think it's the mix is about 4-to-1, and once you've mixed it up, and you can keep it in the fridge for at least 2 days, rather maximum 2 days. But you just paint it on. You don't want to put it on heavy, otherwise you're just going to have a puddle at the bottom.
Yeah. You keep it in the fridge, and you're married, yeah?
It's mayonnaise, really.
Oh, right. Okay. Brilliant.
All right, Julian, you've been very quiet. Julian?
Oh, fine. I'm writing it all down.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, are you? You're gonna share it once you've put it into a sort of grid thing or something.
It's a list.
Brilliant. Well
done. Evidence.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just a list of various suppliers people have mentioned.
I must admit, I'm rather fascinated with Ockenden. What's their blanks like? Have they got? I'm after some ebony and zebrano.
Oh, we've got Timberline for that.
Timberline, yeah.
Yeah, they're the specialists in exotics.
Oh, okay. Anybody else ever turned zebrano? I was so impressed with it.
Very good.
It's absolutely beautiful. I've made a couple kids' toys with it.
I've made a pepper grinder with one. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh, actually, Brian, your spinning top, your rewinding spinning top, I made one of those out of zebrano. It's come out absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
The trouble with whenever I make these things, I always give it away to somebody.
Yes. The trouble is I give stuff away and I don't remember who I gave it to.
Yeah.
I haven't got a database of all the people I've given stuff to.
Yeah.
So
I must admit, it is kind of fun because one thing I do enjoy doing is people give me bits of wood all the time. You know, they've chopped down a tree or something or other. And my neighbor in the next road, he chopped down a prunus tree and I made a thing out of it and I gave it back to him. And he was just so amazed and impressed. It was really, really sweet, actually. It was lovely to, you know, he gave me a cartload of wood and I gave him a chunk this big back. And he was just happy as a pig in poo, you know. It was great. It was really fun.
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah. I gave somebody one of these clocks I tend to make, and she said, "Well, you gave me one of those last year."
Yeah. You better start keeping a list, David.
You need a database of what you've done.
Database, yeah.
Okay, well, lovely talking to you guys. I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
Next meeting will be for real in the clubhouse on the 16th. And there'll be a few memos going out about COVID and precautions and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Great.
Very good.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Take care. Have a beer on me.
Yeah, I've been drinking scotch all night.
Yeah. Oh, That's good. What scotch do you drink, David?
Oh, Bell's, the best.
Bell's. Oh my God.